Who would have thought that SpongeBob SquarePants' tooth gap could completely change his destiny? Because he couldn't stand SpongeBob SquarePants talking non-stop. Squidward Tentacles grabbed some tools and tried to permanently close the gap between his teeth. But unexpectedly, once the gap disappeared, SpongeBob SquarePants' voice suddenly became deep and charming. When he sang again, even Squidward Tentacles was completely captivated. However, the moment Squidward Tentacles realized that the amazing voice was coming from SpongeBob SquarePants, he immediately stopped finding it impressive. But the customers in the restaurant felt completely different. They were fascinated by SpongeBob SquarePants singing and even believed he was a musical genius. Seeing this opportunity, Squidward Tentacles came up with an idea. He decided to use SpongeBob SquarePants to make money. That night, SpongeBob SquarePants arrived at a fancy restaurant. The moment he appeared, his unique voice and appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention. The owner was extremely impressed and directly invited him onto the stage to perform. Squidward Tentacles also joined him on stage, but his clarinet performance was so terrible that the owner had no choice but to block the instrument with a cork. Then, SpongeBob SquarePants began to sing. His beautiful voice instantly won over the entire audience. Everyone became completely lost in the performance. But right after the show ended, Squidward Tentacles secretly took out fake teeth and placed them inside SpongeBob SquarePants' mouth. Squidward Tentacles hurriedly made an excuse and left, but the owner refused to let SpongeBob SquarePants go because he believed SpongeBob SquarePants' voice had magical power to continue making money. Squidward Tentacles decided to completely fix his teeth, so he even brought in a cement truck and directly sealed SpongeBob SquarePants' tooth gap shut. But during the next performance, the gap slowly started opening again. Squidward Tentacles quickly rushed over to repair it. Then it was Squidward Tentacles' turn to perform, but his music was still painfully terrible. The owner finally lost his patience and had him thrown out of the restaurant. Watching SpongeBob SquarePants become more and more popular, Squidward Tentacles became filled with jealousy. He picked up a hammer and prepared to smash open SpongeBob SquarePants' tooth gap. Just then, countless musical bubbles suddenly appeared. When the bubbles exploded, Squidward Tentacles was blasted away, and SpongeBob SquarePants' tooth gap returned to normal. Squidward Tentacles thought that without the special tooth gap, SpongeBob SquarePants would never be able to sing again. But the next second, SpongeBob SquarePants used the gap between his teeth to whistle once again. That magical sound returned. The audience wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, they became even more excited. Some people even started copying SpongeBob SquarePants, creating their own tooth gaps on purpose. You two aren't leaving this time, not until you pay for all the damage you caused. Dad, this is absolutely terrible.